So I had a bad day writing my novel. By that, I mean my debut novel, which means half the time I don't know what I'm doing. And I watched too many writer-centric movies in the past, which tells me that the stereotypical thing to do during a writer's block would be to down an entire bottle of whiskey. But I like my liver a lot, and I don't want to disturb its normal functions, so instead I decided to hop onto my HBO subscription, which was still left over from Game of Thrones Season 8, and we all know what a treat that was. My brain was really asking for a break, so I decided to watch something lighthearted. Now, HBO is known for its very hardcore, gritty dramas, but I felt like there must be one little comedy snuck in there somewhere, which may help me take the edge off. As soon as I saw Bill Hader's face on a poster, I was sold. The show was called Barry, and it had 8 episodes on it, and without watching any trailers or anything, I said to myself, perfect, this would be a quick binge before I could go Johnny Depp in a dirty robe, serious writer mode again. Now, I know Bill Hader from SNL, and I feel he's a pretty solid comedian, but I must admit that I had never watched him on anything else besides SNL. I saw him do some cameos in movies such as Tropic Thunder, so I naturally assumed that he probably did a lot of comedic roles. I played episode 1, and with a dead body sneaking around the corner in the very first scene, I thought it would be a lighthearted parody of the saturated serial killer genre on TV at the moment. And when episode 1 continued, I kept on assuming that it would be like a spoof on someone like Dexter, given the outfit he was wearing. But right when episode 1 ended and Barry went ham on a bunch of Armenians with faulty equipment, my reaction went from expecting some easy laughs to...
What the f-
Damn you, HBO, you did it again. Okay, so I have no shame in admitting right now that as I continued watching this amazing show, I couldn't help but feel like an asshole most of the time for immediately jumping to the conclusion that something with Bill Hader has to be a comedy. When season 2 was over and I finally felt like I had no life again, I really had to sit down and ask myself this question: why did I jump into that conclusion? Comedic actors are still actors. Why did I have to assume that they are only fit for comedic roles? Forget the casting couch. Why do us, the audience, continuously have to typecast them?
Look at Miss Pretty over here. And Garfield hanging in my boob. I made this whole other video about a year ago on how YouTubers can get typecasted, not by just the audience, but also by the YouTube algorithm itself. And I feel like comedians face this in some way as well. I guess it's because throughout their careers, we're so used to watching them be funny and have quick humor on stage that to see them act in a serious way almost makes us think like it's a bit that they're trying to pull off. And we're sitting there thinking, where's the punchline?
I saw Jim Carrey jump into serious roles in the past, but because I could never separate Jim Carrey from, well, his Jim Carrey-ness, I could never fully see him as Truman Burbank in The Truman Show, Andy Kaufman in Man on the Moon, or even as Walter Sparrow in one of his serious roles in the movie The Number 23. Jim Carrey is just one of the more common examples, but I've seen it happen to many actors who've mostly stuck to doing comedic roles.
Even today, you can see some comedians have it much, much worse. Sometimes they're not able to blend into whatever serious role that they're doing. Sometimes we're not allowed to. Don't believe me? Go look at Bill Burr's clips on YouTube of that Hugh Jackman movie that he did a while ago, Front Runner, I think its name was. Whatever, I'll put a link in the description. Go look at that video and just check out the comment section. Just once. Not a single person could take him seriously as the reporter he was playing. The Boston accent and the mustache in Florida didn't help his case either. And everybody just kept looking at him as old Billy Burr. And truth be told, even I couldn't take him seriously. I was watching that scene and I was like, okay. It's hard because he's got such a strong and prominent personality, I think the reason is because you just can't separate the personality in reality that he has with the character he's playing. It's really, really hard.
Even the man himself once sat down with Barry star Bill Hader in one of the episodes of the Monday Morning Podcast, and both of them pointed out this problem about comedians getting typecasted into only comedic roles, and how watching Bill Hader do something different was such a breath of fresh air.
Because your acting on this series is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
I kept calling my wife in, going, look, this is like the best. I'm telling you, it's like the best work I've seen, and I love all the stuff that you've done. But like this, I love it when they give a funny guy a chance to show that, hey, I can do these other things too.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Yes.
He also pointed out how comedians are treated, and to be taken seriously, they even have to show up seriously early.
Well, everybody I know that has been watching it has just been like, you know what I love about it, and what I wanted to talk to you about is I love when somebody that's known for doing comedy gets to do some drama stuff, because for some reason they think that I don't know who the comedian was that screwed it up for the rest of us. I want to know who that person was, and also who the person was that fucked up so bad that we all actors now have to get there like 9 hours before you're going to get called. You just sit there with the fake mustache glued onto your face. It's just like, who fucked up? Who fucked up? Fatty Arbuckle? Who was it?
Fatty Arbuckle just was always
was
20 minutes, 30 hours late.
30 hours late, so now they got to bring you in.
We got to get the Arbuckle rule. I want all these assholes here now at 7 a.m.
My worst one ever, I got called. I went to a set at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I didn't utter a word until 1 in the morning.
Oh, I've done that where I got called on I remember Tropic Thunder. There was this huge party scene. And it was just one of those things where I just learned that it's all communication, where Ben Stiller's directing, and Ben, I think he kept saying Rob. My character's name is Rob, but there's also an actor named Rob. And he was like, Rob should be in there, right? You know? And the first AD went, oh, Bill's not working today. So they would wake me up, call me in, call me in. I would go in at 2 in the morning. This is out in wherever we were shooting, like Hawaii or something. They'd go in, put me in makeup, and I would just sit in my trailer. And then finally I get tired, kind of like, what am I doing,
Yeah.
I'm not in the scene. And so I would go to set, and Ben would go, what the fuck are you doing here? And then 2 days later, hey, we need you to come in. What's going on? And I'm like, what are you doing here? And he goes, no, Rob, the actor, Rob, not the fucking, It's like, and I showed up twice.
It's a show. I mean, when you get down to it, really ask yourself, where do you think this humor comes from? Why do you think a supermodel or a Kardashian type are never funny and have personalities more wooden than wood itself?
Why are you talking so like this today?
I'm so not talking like that.
I'm so not talking like that.
Almost every comedian has a personal story to tell, and the story is usually not that funny. Humor doesn't come from a place of peace and quiet. It's built as a defense mechanism, in survival mode, and as therapy to cope with the things that many comedians have gone through, whether bullied for looks, or insecurities, or tragedies, or simply to get attention. You don't need to be funny when you have everything given easily to you by life. For example, when you listen to someone like Miss Pat, her story in its full context seems like a tragedy, but she narrates it in such a funny way that we forget the tragic element of it.
I know that your life was hard, but if you had to live it over again, it made you who you are. The thing to ask someone when they tell you they're molested by your mom's boyfriend, and that you had a baby with this guy when you were 14, and he's married, and another one, and by the time you're 16, you're pregnant with a third.
Yeah.
No one would ever, selling crack, getting shot in the tit. No one would ever ask you to live that life again, but you wouldn't change it.
I kind of feel like I was a chosen one. God take you through something so it can, to make other people see. Maybe I took burden that everybody else was going through in life, and I was a chosen one, and then I bring it out and make it funny. So I'm here to make people let people know it's okay. Yeah. It's okay. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. And I tell people every night on stage, when you can laugh about it, you got control of it.
Now imagine someone like Oprah narrating her story. Completely different tone, right? We'll run out of tissues if it was Oprah in her chair. We can't forget the subject matter, which is really dark in its core. but she makes us forget the tension of it by injecting humor in it. No one can do that except people who know how to use humor as a pain reliever. So why do we feel that they are incapable of doing something serious on screen? But Barry broke those barriers. It was one of the few times we get to see a long-time comedian play a completely serious character. There are subtle jokes, some dry humor, sure, but nothing that breaks the tension and takes us away from this feeling that the shit is about to hit the fan. I was so glued to the idea that this might not work that it took me till the end of season 2 to really see that my preconceived notions about comedians was very, very wrong. And I happily stand corrected.
We all get typecasted in some way in our lives. Some of us loves to paint, but because we have a family, we have to remain at our corporate jobs. Some of us love to make movies, but since no one is hiring newbies, we're stuck selling stock footage. Trust me, it's a part of life. I myself am somewhat afraid that I'm now typecasted by the content I'm about to make. Last month, I made 2 videos. One about how hard it was for me to implement discipline and just conquer my laziness. And the second one was about how I was able to conquer my shyness and how hard that process was to continue making YouTube videos. I worked really hard for those 2 videos. I learned new editing softwares, I did a lot of things, I poured my heart and soul into them, and the reality was those 2 videos did a less of a good job than videos I made 2 years ago. One about the stereotyping of YouTubers, and a really one about PewDiePie that I made on the spot because I was just out of ideas. When these 2 new recent videos did poor in performance compared to the older ones, I thought to myself, wait, did the YouTube algorithm, did it favor me like a video essayist, a criticism channel, a drama channel? Am I stuck making this type of videos? Am I ever going to be able to share my story on this platform? The good thing about me is that I actually love to make video essays. But the most important point here is that we can all learn from comedians with the example of Barry. To break our stereotypes, we have to break out of our shells and take more risks. We must often forego what people think of us, or at least what we think they think of us, and just continually try to reinvent ourselves. No matter the cost, we have to let ourselves flow creatively. We can never let our creativity be compromised. Thank you so much for sticking to the end of this video. If you want me to cover any other movie, TV show, content creator, or storyteller, let me know in the comments. What other comedians do you think break the stereotype of simply being the funny guy and surprised you? That's the question of the day. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I didn't waste your time. See you next week. Quick note, I also have a Facebook group that you can check out, link in the description. I post a lot of other content there, including my YouTube videos. I also post blogs and other kind of stuff, so you might check it out, so go ahead.